In Zimbabwe, agriculture is the backbone of the economy. However, pests and plant diseases pose a significant threat to each and every season's harvest. At the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair 2025, as the Plant Quarantine Services Institute, we are showcasing innovations and technologies that drive industrialization and sustainable agriculture services. The head of the Plant Quarantine Services explains what the Institute is doing to make sure all the crops and plants are protected from pests and diseases.
As a Plant Quarantine Services Institute, we are mandated to conduct our work because of Acts of Parliament. The main act is the Plant Pest and Disease Act, Chapter 19.08. And its accompanying legislation. We have legislation that regulates importation of plant products. We have regulations for registration of nurseries, whether they are for imports or for external sales of nurseries within Zimbabwe. We also have legislation to ensure the safe production of tobacco, cotton, paprika, where we create a closed window where pests and diseases should not survive because there will be no host crops in the fields. We also have other regulations and also assist us in effecting the Pest and Disease Act. We have the Warehouse Receipt Act, which we also effect. We also have the Research Act, which also guides us in our day-to-day work. We are also guided by strategic plans that the country has, like the NDS1, which is coming to an end this year, and we move on to NDS2, which critically guides our day-to-day work.
In line with the 2025 Zimbabwe International Trade Fair Industrialization, Crafting an Integrated Economic Landscape, Zimbabwe is currently producing fruit juices, which can be a key area of interest in boosting exports in order to increase the chances of higher importation bill. According to the Plant Quarantine Services Institute, fruits such as mangoes, guavas, oranges and apples can be a key area of focus in terms of boosting productivity as a farmer. Farmers who are into fruit production are encouraged to scout pests and use recommendable measures to protect their overall season output. Climate change has led to the emergence of new pests and diseases. As the Institute of Plant Quarantine Services, we have discovered that there is an emergence of fall armyworms, Tuta absoluta, and false codling moth. This year, the 2025 Zimbabwe International Trade Fair is running under the theme Industrialization, Crafting an Integrated Economic Landscape. As the Institute of Plant Quarantine Services, there are new modalities in place to protect agriculture production from pests and diseases. The Institute has introduced new machinery and equipment which can help in terms of diagnostics.
Within Plant Quarantine, we have the diagnostic branch. So right now we're in the plant pathology lab, where we do diagnosis of fungi, of bacteria and viruses. So we have a number of equipment that we use, from PCR machines, the electrophoresis gel machine, we have water bags, we have nitrogen tanks, we also have the LISA reader. That all equipment that needs to be constantly serviced. We also constantly need to replace so that we constantly use the equipment that is up to date to science in this lab.
Of the Plant Quarantine Services Institute said the Institute is also in line with the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair goal, that is to create a safe trading environment for the farmers. She added that traders and importers should be careful of what they import in order to create a safe environment from pests and diseases. In a nutshell, the goal is to protect the country's food security.
Pest-free areas allow our trading partners to have confidence in us that although we have pests in our areas, we have managed to clean a product and allow it to be exported to our trading partners. However, we also have some pests which we call quarantine pests. I think from COVID, people understand what quarantine is. So a quarantine pest is a pest that we do not yet have in Zimbabwe, and we want it quarantined as we do not want it to enter within the boundaries of Zimbabwe. Currently, as an institute, we have over 14 pests that we are constantly doing surveillance for. These range from pests of food security nature. As I mentioned, maize is a staple to us in Zimbabwe. So as we go through drought years where we import grains like maize, sorghum, wheat, we want to ensure that pests that affect our cereals do not come in on the products that we are importing for food. We are fighting against a causal agent, a virus called maize chlorotic mottle virus, which leads to a deadly disease called maize lethal necrosis. As a country, we are importing from safe zones and avoiding zones where we very much know that maize lethal necrosis is. However, as traders, because of lack of awareness, they may feel like we are fighting them from buying cheap maize from cheaper sources and getting maize from clean areas. So we are constantly wanting to raise awareness to our traders on methods of safely importing key commodities for feeding the nation.
During the 2024 summer cropping season, Zimbabwe experienced a devastating drought, which negatively affected the overall output of the 2024 harvest. The Institute of the Plant Quarantine Services is also working towards the protection of Zimbabwe's national food security through the provision of the new pesticides and methods of protecting the maize, which is Zimbabwe's staple food.
Maize lethal necrosis, it is a disease which is as a result of co-infection of two viruses. The chief culprit virus is the maize chlorotic mottle virus, and it can either be in connection with maize dwarf virus and also wheat virus. So if they get together, they form a disease what we call maize lethal necrosis.
The Plant Services Quarantine Institute is also active at Zimbabwe's ports of entry, such as border posts and airports. On this aspect, as the Plant Quarantine Services, we will be monitoring the incomings and outgoings at the ports of entry. The main reason for the checks at the ports of entry is to make sure the incoming, including human and imported goods. The main reason for the checks at the ports of entry is to make sure the incoming, including human and imported goods, are free from disease and will not have any chance of transmitting pests and other related diseases through the importation of various commodities. Outgoings and incomings of the travelers is also a mandate of the Plant Quarantine Services. Human beings are attracted to plants as they travel around the globe. Traders get attracted to fruits, plants, and flowers. The Plant Quarantine Services Institute is using the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair 2025 to educate all people in relation with the risk of transporting plants and crops from country to country.